Hello everyone, welcome. Today we're starting a new series in our literature club. We're going to be looking at Indian mythology in literature. We're going to be looking at different types of mythology. We're going to be looking at mythology from various cultures. I believe we're going to be looking at African mythology, Norse mythology, Greek mythologies, all these different ideas. It's going to be a 4-part series, and I'm very excited to present this to you guys. Yeah, so let's get started right away with Indian mythology. Just a heads up, I am no expert in Indian culture, and especially no expert in Indian mythology, and so please do correct me if there are any inaccuracies. I apologize in advance. I really try my best to present the most accurate information, but if there are mistakes that I make, please do correct me, and I apologize again. It's not a reflection of a intentional ignorance, but it's just me not being able to correct it beforehand. Okay, so let's get right started. Indian mythology is a really vast, very intricate tradition, and it's composed of stories, legends, sacred texts of Indian literature from thousands of years ago. And so, rooted in ancient texts such as Vedas, Upanishads, Puranas, the Ramayana, and the Mahabharata. These mythological narratives are a moral compass and also a spiritual allegory to those in the Indian tradition. And from concepts like Dhamara, duty, karma, cause and effect, we use this in English language currently as well, and moksha, liberation. These it provides a lesson, I think, that really transcends time. It's written all the way back in the BCs, but it continues to influence us in our literature, our philosophy, and even modern media. Yeah, so I'm going to be looking at different roles mythology has played in shaping Indian literature, and we're going to be looking at different oral traditions to classic epics and all these different novels, plays, and films. And understanding mythology, we can gain insight into how these timeless stories continue to change human perception across different generations. Okay, so the two books are epics that we're going to be looking at today is the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. So the Ramayana was written by the sage Valmiki between 500 BCE and 500 CE, and this story tells the story of Prince Rama and his 14-year exile, and the abduction of his wife Sita by the demon king Ravana and his quest to rescue her. The narrative is embedded in the theme of dharma, often translated to duty or righteousness, familial responsibilities, and the struggle between divinity of good and evil, of the balance between human lives. And in the adventurous plot, the Ramayana is a allegory for human experience. Rama represents an ideal leader, and he is adherent to the dharma, the righteousness, the duty, even in the face of immense hardship, kind of like a deity figure. In other religious traditions like Christianity, Sita embodies virtue and devotion as his wife, and Hanuman, the monkey god, is a epitome of unwavering loyalty and strength. And the story underscores the importance of sacrifice, of righteousness, and the divine intervention, all these working together in countless literary works over centuries. And nature and geography also plays an important role here. The forests, the rivers, and all the different mountains and landscapes around, they're not just symbolic meanings, but they represent moral and spiritual states oftentimes, just like in the Bible, for example. The exile in the forest is, for example, not just a punishment, but a stage for self-discovery and growth, like how Jesus was put in exile in the wilderness. The bridge to Lanka, built by Hanuman and his army, represents the unity of faith and determination. And we see similar allegories and symbolization across different traditions. We see it in Greek mythology, we see it in biblical mythology, and we'll see it in Norse traditions as well tomorrow. Yeah, and a bit more about Valmiki. Valmiki, also known as Adi Kavi, the first poet. He is one of the poets in the Indian traditions, famous for composing, again, the Ramayana. It's in Indian, it's a metric verse, and so although in translated versions we wouldn't be able to understand it, according to legends, he discovered poetic expression. So it is said by witnessing a hunter kill a bird, and leading him to compose his very first verses in Indian called the shloka, and his epic established a precedent for poetic storytelling in Indian literature and has inspired later poets to blend mythology with philosophy and moral teachings. Okay, the second book that we're going to be looking at is the Mahabharata, the longest epic and famous for its philosophical depth. The Mahabharata is really the longest epic in all of world literature, and it has more than 100,000 verses. It was composed between 300 BCE and 300 CE, and it's a rivalry between Pandavas and Kauravas, and it is the epic that culminates in the Kurukshetra war. And unlike the Ramayana, it presents a clear moral dichotomy as well. It delves into the complexities of human nature, of morality and duty, and reveals righteousness is often amidst ambiguity. Very famously, I think one of the most famous sections is the Bhagavad Gita, the conversation between Arjuna and Krishna on the battlefield. Krishna is a incarnation of Vishnu, and he's a deity, and he gives wisdom on duty, on detachment and devotion, and he's emphasizing the true righteousness lies in selfless action. And the Gita has influenced generations of thinkers from Gandhi to famous Indian writers. I heard his name is Adi Shankaracharya, shaping spiritual and ethical thoughts worldwide. And we also have Vyasa, also known as Veda Vyasa, and he is both the narrator and the character within the book. His work is interweaved within mythology, history, and philosophy, and it's not just a story of war, but also kind of a repository of ethical and spiritual wisdom. And so both of these books were originally preserved through oral traditions, and then it was written down. So these compositions really were impacted by the ancient values at the time, the socio-political values and the religious values as well. And so, the kings were at the time viewed with having divine authorities, and over these centuries it became central to Hindu rituals and festivals and lives, and it's become a cornerstone to Indian consciousness. And we see this impacts in classic and modern literature as well, all these different ideas that transcend the centuries. For example, we have the Diwali festival that has a cultural legacy in various ways. The philosophical ideas expressed within the literature that we have seen is impacted in such festivals and also in modern media. And so we also have modern retellings in Indian literature with mythology, inspiring authors like R.K. Narayan's The Ramayana, and that is a simplified retelling, and also Banerjee Divakunari and Amish Tripathi, and their kind of reimagination of mythological pictures and perspectives. We also have Indian mythology extending beyond into performing arts, into cinema and religious festivals. We have all these different ideas that have become an iconic status within filmmaking and narratives, and that have integrated themselves into modern storytelling. And it's very interesting to look at. And Indian mythology has influenced also classic Sanskrit literature with poets across various locations and various times, and some of the most famous poems like Kalidasa and his renowned work Raghuvamsha, I'm so sorry. It traces the lineage of Rama's ancestor and it reinforces the ideal of kinship and virtue. And yeah, so the influence of Indian mythology on literature is just vast. It is so multifaceted. It continues to shape understanding from ancient poetry to contemporary novels and films. And these myths continue to provide an ethical guidance for each and every one of us. It inspires artistic expression for us. It gives us a way to have understand the cultural cornerstone of Indian society as well. As literature evolves, the retelling and reinterpretation of these myths will ensure that their timeless and enduring wisdom remain relevant across generations. Yeah, so through the Ramayana and Mahabharata, Indian mythology has not only preserved cultural and religious beliefs, but also provided really like a dynamic framework for artistic expression. From all these different scopes and spanning literature, the story continues to inspire and remind us that mythology is not just a relic of the past, and we will see this repeating idea over and over again in our later series. As it's a living, evolving tradition through which it continues to shape human thought and creativity. Thank you so much for watching. This was a very difficult video to make because I did not have a lot of pre-understanding of Indian mythology, and I had difficulty finding a lot of literature. I have to thank my friends for being so kind as to help me in creating this. But despite that, I just want to say that there will be mistakes, and I'm very sorry for butchering all those pronunciations. I deeply apologize if that is of offense. Yeah, and I just hope that this is an introduction into Indian mythology for you, understanding how literature can be impacted by mythology and the different understandings that are prevalent at the time, how it continues to have contemporary legacy today, and all of these interlinking chains of time and culture and locations. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope that this has kindled interest and curiosity in you, and I hope to continue to work with you guys in learning new ideas and themes. And yeah, stay tuned for the next video on Norse mythology. Thank you so much, and bye-bye.